Welcome to Beauties and Beasties, the Independent Pest Podcast for the UK.
Hello. How are we all doing?
Evening. What's that on your shirt, Sean?
I don't know.
It looks like Tintin from here.
No, I think it's an indie. Stand by.
Tintin. That's a blast from the past.
Is it?
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Tintin's a blast from the past. You work with Lawrence.
He's not Tintin. For starters, he's not Belgium, and he doesn't have a small dog called Snowy. He just has the little quiff of hair. That's all it is. That's about as close as we get to it.
What was it? Hershey's Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, I used to have the books when I was young. I absolutely loved them. Like, no idea why, other than the fact that they were awesome. But yeah. Anyway, how are we all doing this evening?
I'm okay now.
Okay. Now, why? What happened before?
As I said earlier, I got stung. I was on the phone with Sean actually. It was like I got fucking stung. It's the first time in about. It must have been first time in about 12 years, and it wasn't even doing a wasp nest, so I didn't even get compensated. And you forget how much it flipping hurts.
You know, all I'm hearing from this, Sean, is this is the first time he's been anywhere near the tools in 12 years. I mean, what the fuck?
Right, no, because he didn't even get any other tools, did he?
Yeah, true, actually.
I was just driving home. Well, I was in a van.
So. It's getting worse each time. I was stung by a wasp on the tools. I wasn't really on the tools, but I was near the tools. I wasn't really near the tools. I was driving the van. Well, I wasn't driving the van. I was in the van. Well, actually, where do we go next?
All right, enough. I'll shut up now. It's you carry on.
So, yeah, just blindsided, like drive by, just to start the episode. How are you doing, Sean? How's your week been?
I'm shattered. I'm absolutely. It's not very often I complain about being tired. I am shattered. I've been on a job today. I can't say a massive amount of it because we're sort of guesting for another pest control company, and it might look like we're trying to put them down, and we're not. You know, and self-praise is no praise. So I don't want this to be a bragging thing, but we've had all three of on a job shooting pigeons today, and I don't know, I think we shot over 400 between us. And there's more days to come. So, but you forget how much concentration it takes to do that. You know, like to be at it, you are constantly at it. Priced up a farm job this week, which is going to be, I don't know if I'll get it or not, because it might be not competitive in money, but it'll be about 170 boxes to go in.
Mm-hmm.
If I get it, that gives you an idea of how big the job is. That's massive. What else have we done? We've done all sorts. We've had scaffolding up for jobs. We've had 6 million things. We've had people sign up for the software. It's been all going. I've decided to give up my unit.
Oh, really? How come?
Yeah. After our podcast last week with John Dixon. Yeah. He said something. He said about overheads being the killer of businesses, and I was sitting there thinking, I know I've mentioned it, we've paid for a garden room in the garden. Everything's done now except for boarding and second fix on the electrics and some internal work. I'm sitting there thinking I'm keeping an office and a unit going at £1,000 a month, whereas I'm probably going to get 2 20-foot containers right in the centre of our round for about, I don't know, think it was coming in about 170 quid a month. So what's that? You're probably talking about one and a half grand. Prick. Billy's just wrote, you putting a stripper pole in there. Well, if I do, one thing's for certain, you won't be getting on it, will you? Because we'd have to ring the fucking cruelty man if you started stripping. Yeah.
Much love to all of our guests.
Harsh.
To be fair, for anyone who doesn't know me and Billy are good pals, so he'll laugh his head off at that. I'm sure. If he doesn't, I don't care. Yeah. So it's been, and that's just exactly. Yeah. That's just like the start of it, really. So the week's been a very, very busy week. And then we'll talk about a later CPD. We've added some interesting stuff to that, which comes with the headaches of CPD at this time of year. End of 2025 raises a lot of questions about where the industry is, how we're going to move forward, etc.
Got a whole bit on that.
Just flat out busy. And you, Alex?
Yeah. I had a good week. It was a committee kind of week this week. So some internal committees at main job, which was very nice. Got to sort of like see the lay of the land, set some experiments and bits and bobs up and in process, which was jolly good. Managed to do outreach and communications committee this week for BPCA, which was always good fun. Put some plans together, which actually I'll mention now. There'll be a flyer coming up in the next couple of days. But this is not necessarily BPCA news. This is my news for this. What I'm trying to do is we are launching a series of drop-in sessions. So basically, there'll be working groups for BPCA members, MPTA members, people who are no members whatsoever, just to ask people what it is that they actually want to see and get from trade associations. So if you're already in a trade association, say what you like about them. And if you're not in a trade association, say why you can't be bothered to be in them. And if you don't know and you want to ask more, then there'll be people there to ask and see. So it's just basically a free to enter. Anyone can join. It'll be over the course of next year, the beginning of next year. And we'll run it from there.
Can I jump in there a bit? I was going to say, I know you are both on committees and all that sort of stuff for trade associations. I just want to say, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. Like the time it takes and all that sort of stuff, and then the shit you have to go through, and
everybody hates you.
It's a thankless task, in it. You put your time and effort in. It's a thankless task. So, from me to you too, thank you very much. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it. Even if I did want to do it, I think it's a bad business decision for anybody who does it. So it shows how much these people truly love it.
I wouldn't say it's a bad business decision. It certainly is. It takes up some of your time, but it doesn't take up. It's not like you're having to give up a day of your week every week. It's more like you're having to give up.
It was hard to say it's a bad business decision. What I was saying is, every hour you spend on that, you are not spending on your business. And anyone knows who runs a business, every hour, time is your biggest thing, isn't it? It's your most expensive thing. It's precious. So
if you can't give up a day a month, then you're
what?
I said, if you can't give up just 1 day a month, then you're probably running it a little bit too tight to the wire.
I make a little rule because I give up a bit more than a day a month. I'm working on stuff every day now. But I make a point of saying my business comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then once I've got that out of the way, I've got free time to do this, the podcast, and my MPTA work. But always the business comes first, because you've got people relying on you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I didn't have the time, I wouldn't do it. I would find it hard, I must admit, if I was back doing doing a real man's job, as it were, not just pouncing around in the office. I would find it hard to give the time. I have to admit.
Yeah, but it's how the industry evolves and changes. It's how the voices of, the rank and file and the regular person get out there. Otherwise, who's representing you at the end of the day? So you've got to give a little to, be part of that. Otherwise, you are represented by proxy, and you've got to trust
And
the people
also,
representing you will do it.
also, I bet you're a bit like Sean in a way, and I'm sure Alex the same. You wake up in the middle of the night and you've got an idea. You suddenly had an idea for, for something, and it clicks in your head, and it gives you something to think about for a while. So, yeah.
Awesome. So shall we get into the news?
The news. Who's going first tonight?
I'll go first.
Okay,
I think.
cool.
On the association news, seeing as you've gone first the last 2 weeks running, haven't you?
Yes.
So hang on, let me bring my notes up. I made notes and everything. Right, so let's start with, let me just bring this up so I can see you and see me at the same time. Recruitment. So, as I mentioned before, we have the BPCA and the MPTA both have their pest portals up. The BPCA's one is the pestcareers.org.uk. And there's been some really exciting progress with that because the BPCA has recently met with the strategic partnerships team at the DWP, and looks like they're going to go into collaboration that could benefit people using that portal. So the DWP is committed to promoting recruitment and resources across its staff network and job centres, which means that places like the Pest Careers hubs and jobs boards will be used and pushed more widely to people seeking jobs from all aspects. So that's number one. New for 2026, new calendar, plenty to look forward to. Brand new series of online masterclasses, which are exclusively for members. They're going to be like the digital forums, only they're going to be longer, interactive training sessions on topics like social media, videography, equipment maintenance, bee diseases, pest control specifications, and tendering for contracts. And they'll be free for all members to use and join. There'll be bigger and better training forums. So the in-person forums, the 8 in-person BPCA training forums next year will now run as full-day courses with expert speakers, hands-on workshops in the afternoon. So as you'd expect it in the morning, but a more practical orientated evening sessions, afternoon sessions as well. Breakfast and lunch included, open to all members and non-members alike. Think of them as a mini PestX events popping up across the country with all of your usual distributors exhibiting. And talking of PestX, it is a PestX year next year in 2026, and it's shaping up to be the biggest one yet. So secured a larger hall, more stands sold than ever before, and a much wider mix of exhibitors. So save the date, 18th to 19th of March. There's a bit of a crew update and an AWeb's law update, but we're actually going to do that later on in the session. So the last one is there's a whole load of technical guidance come out as well around the use of wildlife cameras in customer premises. It's free to access for everyone involved, so members, non-members alike can access this guidance for how to use wildlife cameras in customer premises. However, BPCA members get an additional bonus that there is some information and downloadable consent forms and a staff briefing template to go along with it. So there we go. That is the BPCA news in a nutshell. Oh, and sorry, there's the Christmas Digital Forum where there is the Christmas quiz coming up in that. So if you're still chasing CPD points for the end of the year, final digital forum is open to everyone, 9:30 to 12:30 on the 17th of December. Bring your own mince pies.
And Alex is dressing up as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I don't actually think I'm not doing anything in this one, so I'll just be in the background. I'll be playing along with you guys, as opposed to being a part of this one. So yeah, I'll just Temu Santa, that's what I am.
Nothing wrong with Temu. Sean looks like he's going to go to sleep in a minute.
There's something spinning around my head actually, but I'll let you finish and then I'll see it.
What, Alex or me?
You, because you're doing association news.
Okay. Yeah. So as everybody knows, MPTA news. This week we had a board meeting, and so John and Paul, that's John Davison and Paul Burton, chairman and vice chairman, have announced that they're standing down. And we've got to, I have to, on behalf of all the MPTA members, obviously say thank you for like 25 years of service. I think they said that they'd missed one committee meeting, board meeting in 25 years between them. So that's an amazing run. So thank you to them for their supreme service and long service. And various people are putting their names forward for the position of chairman and vice chairman. So that's going to be exciting to see and lead us forward into the future. We also, MPTA, have joined SOFTI or SOFIT, which actually probably means absolutely nothing to anybody if you don't know your acronyms. So it's the Society of Food Hygiene and Technology. I had to read that because I couldn't remember it. Basically, so that our technical team can get involved and get facing with food handlers and food hygiene people, help with them with technical backup and perhaps codes of conduct, codes of practice, and maybe technical information. So, and join their working groups so that, you know, we can have some hands-on engagement with the food industry. We've put, now, this is hard for me to say because we always have a go at people having nominated themselves for awards, but MPTA have nominated ourselves for some awards, for the TAF Awards, which is the Trade Association Forum Awards. So we've stuck ourselves in for 3 different trophies or awards, trophies, which is the large event of the year, obviously for Pest Tech. So let's hope for that one. We've put ourselves in for Best Association Supplier Partnership for the under 5 for 25, which is the combination of MPTA and Syngenta to help young people get into the industry. So hopefully that's a good cause for everybody. And we've actually put ourselves in for the Best Association Transformation. So so it's the biggest transformation in any association over the previous year. So hopefully everybody can see a transformation. Whether it's good enough to win, who knows? I think it is, but who knows? And lastly, for me, we polled all of our members and had some feedback. It was a bit slow to start with about the trust mark. We had a good percentage of people, so we had 67% of those that voted put their names forward and said it's a yes to going forward with looking at the trust mark scheme. So we will be continuing on that journey to hopefully get the trust mark and help everybody get it as well along with us. So there'll be more discussions and help and webinars and social media to help people understand what it's actually going to do, what it's all about, and move it forward, we hope. So from there, we are on to the next bit of news, or Sean's comment that he was going to say.
I was sitting thinking, like, how does communications work between the 2 associations? Do they get on? Do they not get on? And then I was thinking to myself, isn't this a weird position that if you've got 2 associations who get on, then it could be positive, but it could also be negative because you're not getting any pushback on one another. But then if you get 2 associations who don't get on, is that also a negative? Because you don't get you don't get them pulling in the right direction together. So how, as associations go, how do you manage to bridge that gap?
So I would say, generally speaking, yeah, there needs to be some key differentiators between the 2 associations. It can't just be mirror copies of one another. You need to find the one that you feel most aligned to. Those differentiators are largely in ethos and, let's say, the smaller points around the industry, but the larger points around the industry, you know, the protecting the toolkit, how we are perceived from the outside, then we need to be very much more aligned. And I do know that the CEOs or COOs of both of the associations do have a regular touch point where they will make sure that they will align on core values that the industry needs in order to keep itself moving forwards and afloat. Hugh, would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, we are different. There's no two ways about it. The two associations are different. And like you say, if we were both the same, then what would be the point? Because it would just be a direct competition then, and like a, it would be one against the other almost. And hopefully it's not like that at all. So yeah, but with us, obviously there will be things that, just like any business, no, I can't call them businesses, but any two entities that are doing the same thing, they do need to come together at some stage, and it's better to be friends than enemies.
Frenemies.
So, frenemies. And certainly, we definitely need a combined push for things in government, government.
Do you think that you two doing this together is, I would imagine it's a massively beneficial thing for both associations, is it? Or not? Or does it not make a fucking shit of a difference?
I think it's
doing
more...
the podcast, or
yeah, because obviously you've got yous coming on and you're a host and blah blah blah, but you're all like intertwined with the two associations. So does it help, or is it just not even factor in anything?
I would say, I mean, at the association level, probably the podcast is not discussed as much as we would like it to be. It's sort of like something there. But what I would like to say is that for people watching, I really hope that it starts to break down some of the almost tribalism that we do see in this industry. You've either got to be team green or team blue. But it's not like that at all. A lot of the things that Hugh and I discuss, we align on. A lot of the things that, MPTA and the BPCA stand for align. There are key differentiators. There are things that make the two associations different. There are, I'm trying to think of a key one now, but we all know that they
BPCA is woke as hell.
No, that's not good. No, it's not. It is.
I'm only joking. I'm just pushing your buttons.
But at the same time, with that, we talk, and for people listening to it, I really hope that it breaks down some of that. You have to be team A or team B. There's none of that. You're simply just the team that appeals the most to you, and everyone's in it for the industry. A rising tide.
It would be helpful to have an episode where it's like, because I think it would sell well to the listeners if we did MPTA versus BPCA.
No, not versus.
In for that. But I don't mean antagonistically. I mean like a genuine.
What, like MMA?
No, well, you listen. Everyone knows yous two, don't they? Like through who listen to the podcast know yous two, and I think like yous are both a very good representation of yourselves and of the industry and of your association. So, and I can trust yous both to absolutely not in a boxing ring, but you can't walk anymore. But you know what I mean? Like it's not like I would be thinking one of them's going to say something out of order, or do you know what I mean? I think everyone would be respectful, but I think it would be, should I say, it would interest me. It would massively interest me because nobody knows what goes on behind the scenes. I'm not expecting you to tell what goes on behind the scenes, but it would be interesting to watch that. I think that dynamic would be, especially two friends doing it. I think that would make it even more interesting. Maybe the last podcast we ever do or something like that.
I don't know what would be
you too.
If Hugh and I could do a debate panel, but we could actually get Kevin and Rosina on. So, the CEO and CEO of the trade associations. And Hugh can ask questions of Rosina and I can ask questions of Kevin. And we can see where it goes from there.
Alex, for the first time, you will be the boots on the ground. We could do one with them too, which would be quite interesting. But like, I'm not having a go at either one of them. You're going to get the answers that we expect, if that makes sense, like the party political broadcast answers, but we're used to. I feel like because you're friends, you'll have a different dynamic than those two, because we've done this for what, 200 episodes, 2 years, 150, 100, whatever it is. We've got, I think, anyways, we'll talk about another day. I just back where my brain works.
So Jasmine says maybe we do the idea it's focused on common goals, aligned topics, rather than as a versus. It's not
Jasmine,
reflective.
nobody will tune in for that, love. Nobody. Like misery loves company, done it, love. I've got to make it interesting.
Yeah, I can just see Hugh now making the advert for this, and just me and him like, hey, why
Yeah, I would definitely get the vote for being picked on, because I'd be in my little wheel, in my little chair, and Alex would be beating down on me, the sympathy vote.
You need a little beating sometimes.
I'll do the Julius Caesar thing at the end, the thumbs up, the thumbs down. Finish him!
A full-on Colosseum. There we go. Right, that is the association news. We've got some really exciting stuff actually come up between both of the associations there. So it's a really good time to be part of the associations. And also, if you want to see something hilarious, guys, I mentioned the pest. What was it? The careers pest hub for the BPCA. If you go onto that and you click on the video, you will see a cameo role from yours truly in there as I play a father at a party offering a pest controller a slice of cake alongside Anna Mullins, and it screams GCSE drama vibes, but it's a really good feel. So check that out. It's really good.
Cool.
Right.
What we got next? Well, actually, we got the buttons.
I got the buttons. Is product news out now? Actually, is next up.
Well, you're not allowed to talk about this, Alex. So silence. Can you believe it's 5 years that Cilantra's been out?
No.
I think we've just started using Cilantra, just literally kicking and screaming into the 21st century. But it just seems like yesterday. Yeah, it just seems like yesterday that we did those first Cilantra training certificates that we did when it first came out. So it's been 5 years. But you use it quite a lot, don't you, Sean?
Loads. I use Cilantra and Harmonix. Don't recommend either one. I use them. I know Alex says it's more palatable than that, but I don't find either of them are particularly palatable in terms of scores. However, if you use Covered and Protected, I like Cilantra because it doesn't seem to go moldy. It seems to have a bit more longevity. I hate the packets that Harmonix come in, they break up, and it's fucking horrible. However, you can burrow bait with Harmonix, and there's more to it. And it's funny because when you use it, you think I'd never use it around dogs, but we do. We use it around dogs quite a bit. Just got to be sensible, like very, very sensible. But why are you not being sensible with scores? Do you know what I mean?
How come? Go on, Alex. I've got a question.
I was going to say, for anyone who is using cholecalciferol, either Cilantra or Harmonix, reach out to them, because although we say that there is not an antidote, and that's quite right, there is not a direct antidote to cholecalciferol, there is a well-established veterinary treatment program that can significantly increase the chances of survival after accidental poisoning. So reach out to either BSF or NVU, because they both should have copies of that. If you are, and it's a good thing to keep in the van or keep on file if you are to use a Coley product going forwards into the future.
How come neither have a hole in the middle to nail it onto something? They do, don't they? Mate, we don't use it. I've got 5 buckets. I've got 5 buckets in the I've got 5 buckets in the container, and I've never opened one.
Tell you what my complaint is, and I'm sure, I don't know if Alex can confirm it. He'll deny this, but I'm fucking certain it's true. I'm absolutely convinced that the packaging on both of them that is being created is so that it spoils in the box, so you can't reuse it. So they'll say like, oh yeah, well, if it's not eaten, you can take away and use it. I don't think I have ever either the products managed to get them out of a box and back into a bag for use. The Cilantra's got holes in it, so moisture gets to it. The Harmonix, the water damages the packaging. We've got rats that literally chew through plugs to get into bins, you know, to get into your wheelie bin. They'll chew through the lid of the wheelie bin. They'll chew through all sorts to get in. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we better put this perforated plastic packaging on it.
Do you know why the perforations are there? Because if you don't have
Why?
perforations, when you heat shrink something, it turns into an explosive little balloon.
Oh,
So you need the perforations in there in order to allow it to heat shrink fully. It just so happens that it also lets some of the flavor out. But there's significantly less perforations than in some of the original, you know, the Mark One things. It looked like a pin cushion. There's significantly fewer perforations than there were in the early design phases, put it that way, because they found it was harder for things like slugs and snails to get their radula into with fewer perforations. But
the thing as well as they say, you don't need as much, don't they? But we've not found that to be true. You know, you put it in, and we probably use 8 20-gram Ratamore blocks on a spike. We'll put 7 cilantro in or whatever it is, and you don't get any back. Like, you don't get any back.
Cilantro kebab.
The harmonics, when you burrow bait with it, that is a game changer, to be fair. That is an absolute game changer. And if anyone's listening to this, he has a tip for you. But by all means, don't do it, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But you might want to think about it. When we burrow bait with harmonics now, we'll put 1 or 2 sachets at best down a burrow and shove it all the way back, like as far back as you can. And then we'll stem it up with soil. And when we come back the second time, we don't bait. We'll literally just fill the holes back in. Because what I noticed was that, say there's 20 burrows and you put 2 sachets in, so you use 40 sachets. Well, them 40 sachets, if they've been eaten, have killed 80 rats. And you think, how big is this population? So if they've kicked out all those burrows, which inevitably they will, you'll go and you'll put another 40 sachets in. Whereas we find that if we block it up on the second visit, when you come back on the third visit, there'll be like 1 or 2 burrows open maximum. Everything's dead. And it stops you pouring a load of your bait into the burrows that was unneeded, which keeps the costs down. And more importantly, like, why do you want to pour it in the soil if you don't have to? So yeah, as a general rule. And then the next thing, of course, is there's always a chance of a dog digging it up, isn't there? And I know Alex has got his bait stores and what have you. But if one of them's been spoilt, one of them's been eaten or partially eaten, you've got a dog that's gonna, other than it going around and digging up 20 burrows, you know, you've got a dog that's getting a quarter of a sachet rather than putting 4 in. It could get 3, and if it's a little Jack Russell, that might be enough to roll it over or what have you. So that's how we do it. And it is an absolute game changer.
And I'm going to break my rule a little bit for not talking about these things, but just from here. Any plans on BSF getting burrow baiting on the label? Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that, but
That'll do.
Yeah, so the answer is yes, we are getting it there.
Well,
yeah.
Can't confirm or deny, you know.
No.
It's a bit like, that's a bit like Keir Starmer saying there's no tax raises coming up, isn't it? You know, you know you're going to get a tax raise.
Thanks for putting me in the same bracket as Keir Starmer there. That's gonna.
I would
that's
never
gonna
do
be
that.
great. You bastard.
No.
The whole thing in Ziploc bags. I've done that for years actually, with paste baits especially, because here we go. It's a really interesting thing. Mice tend to eviscerate things. They will explode it, throw it everywhere. Rats tend to be really quite polite. They'll make a hole just about big enough to get their teeth and their head into. So, but also rats tend to try and pull things off the bar a lot more as well, because they just have a bit more weight to them. So if you put your paste baits on the rod and then put the rod, you know, put a bag over the rod, then they chew a hole through the bag, and then they will basically scoop out what they need. And anything that gets pulled off the out of the tea bag or gets pulled off the rod tends to fall down and get caught in the like the sandwich bag underneath. And so it's just an extra barrier to stop it getting flung and ejected out of the bait box. So yeah, it's not a bad thing to do with that. And also it keeps the slugs and snails and puppy dogs' tails off them for a little bit longer as well, which helps.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Cool.
not a bad shout from several perspectives there. Cool.
Any more product news or no? I don't think there's been much on the market, has there, this month? Actually, it's been
There's
a bit of a
not.
quiet one.
I suspect that
I've done a hunt around and I can't find anything. And actually, the same with registrations. I can't see anything being brought on or withdrawn or anything. So that's
HSE is very behind at the moment in a lot of its product authorizations, which is a bit of a shame. So it's running a bit slow, certainly a bit slower than Europe is. So there are, I'm sure, things coming up the pipeline, but haven't gone through the BPR mill at the moment. I'm not saying that there's something coming from my corner. I'm just saying I know how these things work, and it's probably there is things waiting to pop out the other end of that. It just takes a little bit of time, sadly.
You've never tried nailing Harmonex onto a piece of wood and stuffing it down the burrow, then, Sean?
It's just time,
Stuff
isn't
in
it?
the-
Like if you've got 20 boroughs to do and you start
Oh,
doing
no.
that, it's
Yeah.
the other thing as well is I think whenever you wire something and push it in, or when you put it on wood and you push it in, you run the risk of something pulling it out. You know, something getting its claw or its tooth when it's digging and actually riving it out. So I think we have like a pipe, and I'm more than
Yeah.
happy to try and jam it in. And if you've got a little bit of patience and a little bit of time, you'll never find a burrow run straight in. It'll go in and kick, or bifurcate or whatever it is, and you can normally get it back. And the other thing as well is if you spend that time getting it back, I always feel like it's drier back there than at the entrance. Making it. The way I describe it to customers, it's like Uber Eats for the minute. You get over all the neophobia, you get over all the problems that you are going to have with bait consumption. And if you can burrow bait them, you will knock the living daylight. That'll take the poison to the pests in it.
I was literally about to say.
I was just going to say that.
Take the poison to the pests.
Say it at the same time.
Yeah. Everyone, it's a trainer's mantra the world over. That is. I did think that there was some extra product. We've just had Pest Tech, haven't we? So I'm trying to think what was new and novel there. Didn't manage to get
Defender bird spikes.
Defender bird spikes. Yeah.
Just so that you guys know, forgot to mention it. Pest Tech, the Beauties and Beasties seminar was within the top 3 of the day.
Oh, that's terrible because we went in with 0 plans.
Yeah.
It was chaos.
So
and sorry, I don't know if we said last week, they didn't give us a microphone each, and there wasn't like one microphone to pass between us.
Oh,
It was like a microphone on a podium. So we had to like really coyly like stand almost shoulder to shoulder and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And Sean was just like, for the first bit of it, he was eating.
What's new?
Like a sandwich.
What's new?
Got to feed a machine, don't you?
Oh, look, it's 2 minutes to 7.
It was true to form. I'm glad people enjoyed it. It was really nice to see people come there, and a lot of our guests were there as well.
So well done, guys. Are we on to acquisitions?
I think we are on to acquisitions, and this one we actually do have some news for, don't we?
We have a couple, actually. We have a really weird one that really isn't relevant to our UK listeners, but a few of our US listeners might be interested. The Tyro Group has expanded in the USA with the acquisition of EnviroSmart Texas. So what that means for us, I've no idea, but it obviously shows that Tyro may have always identified the US market as another potential.
I'd say yes, because when I was at Pest World last year, I bumped into one of the acquisition specialists from Tyro Group out there, scouting about, looking for potential fresh meat. So yeah, they've been on that acquisition path for a little while, but it's interesting to hear that they've actually started to formalize and promote their acquisition.
Start buying.
Buying, yeah.
And the other big one, which I don't think we mentioned last time, but we have mentioned it at some stage, One EMV has been acquired by the Armosa Group.
Yes.
So,
However, almost that produce products for other distributors, don't they? So I think that's an incredibly interesting scenario, especially as you've got
Lottie.
Was it Tyro that bought Pest Fix?
It is.
Who bought Pest Fix?
Yeah, Tyro bought Pest Fix, JG, and Virgo are their big acquisitions, and a whole load of others as well, including Integrum and a couple other folks in there as well.
I would love to be a fly on the wall of the big firms as they're like, I don't know, say you work for Rento, Eco City, whatever it is, and the people who own Virgo then go and buy Pest Fix, so you may, like, some of them will probably get supplied through them, etc., etc. I bet you there'll have been some proper interesting conversations, and I bet you there'll have been so many different thought patterns of what might be, and it'll just run around. You'd be like, I would find that incredibly interesting to be involved in, to negotiate that. Like, if we get this firm out to help us, are they going to sell it to the competitors? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? How do we do this? And then you're the firm going, we're genuinely not going to do that. Like, how do we put it right? It would be the most interesting thing in the world, wouldn't it? One ENV now, like, we're producing stuff for Lottie, and are they going to do this? It'll be the most interesting stuff in the world.
Well, it wouldn't be great if you were, if you're another supplier and suddenly that somebody turns around and goes, actually, we're going to take half your products away from you and we're going to sell it exclusively through our own manufacturer, and you can't get it anymore.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's probably what they're thinking. And then the people who we're still independent. We don't care. We're still going to do it for you because it's a revenue stream and But you're like, is this a thing? Like, there'll be so many things going on, won't there?
There will be, but I have to say, I have to counsel you guys in the sense that you're thinking again that the UK pest industry is the pest industry, but it's not. All of the companies that you've just mentioned operate at the very least on a European level, and things like Rentokil, Rentokil, Ecolab, they operate on a global level. What actually happens in the UK will be of interest, but it won't necessarily be, drop hands, everyone pick up a pail of water and run to the fire. It'll be something that is left to manage by the UK teams. And within that, they might turn around and say, well, okay, we lose a UK-based supplier, but it doesn't matter. We have good ins with a couple of European-based suppliers, and they come in instead. So for people who are global, it's a blip, it's an annoyance, but realistically speaking, it's something that they can manage. We often forget, and this is the fun part of my new role, is seeing how broad pest management is around the world, and we think that we are definitely up there in the world in terms of training and diligence and motivation. We don't have a license, and yet we all hold ourselves to account, largely speaking. But at the same time, we are a very small market, comparatively speaking, compared to, if you look at the number of French farmers out there, for example, and compare the number of French farmers
to the French,
yeah,
French.
Yeah, this is where Andy, what's he called, your pal, Andy,
Beddoes.
Andy Beddoes would be like, he'll be watching this footy and smashing his TV up. French grain, smashing up.
So there's a quick
point being, it's we're talking about the size of economies, we're talking about the size of markets. The UK market is big, but comparatively speaking, in the European theatre.
So you just said that we're quite well up on it in the UK. So as you are a globe-trotting technical person,
as you are the Kim Kardashian of pest control.
Yeah.
The bum, isn't it? It's my big booty.
Who would you say, like the average boots on the ground guy, which country would you say has the most trained technicians?
It depends in what element you're speaking of. You look at some of the Southeast Asian groups, they are very hot on their entomology, their vector management, and stuff like that. Light years ahead of where we are, particularly with that.
I'm just talking about a person, just Joe Grunt, the
No,
pest
because
control grunt.
because it's very unusual to have people be a jack of all trades. We have this very broad qualifications framework that does about a little bit of everything. If you go out to the States, your licenses get very specific. You get licenses for looking after homes, you get licenses for this, you get licenses for that. In Germany, for example, you have to go through several years worth of training and auditing. But are they ostensibly better pest managers when they come out of it? Maybe, maybe not. They still have pests over there. They still have the same challenges. So who's the best? It depends at what. Certainly, the UK is probably one of the few territories I've had a look at that has any kind of self-imposed and manageable environmental stewardship program. And I think that genuinely sets us apart from other pest managers around the world, because we do what we do, and at the same time we do what we do with a conscience and a thought to preserving the environment for the future, which is a huge thing and a really impressive thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do it. I'm going to say make a call, and let's do the next subject now, which is we're going to do the CPD now, because I've got a feeling it's
Immediately
going to run.
following on that question, I mean, that segued so beautifully in there, didn't it?
And we've got to do it now because I've got a feeling it's going to run a bit. And if we don't get time to do Arab's Law, we might. Let's see.
Well, Arab's Law is really important. So do we want to do Arab's Law first and then do CPD to close?
No, I think CPD is more important at this moment.
Fair enough.
Go on. Let's do it.
Come on,
you start and I'll finish.
Lead the charge.
Do we notice, and is it indicative of the industry that there are so many people saying they're going to do their 5-year qualification and rather than do their CPD? Is it actually a shot in the foot for crew and the industry that people are going down that route rather than CPD? Is it making us less professional rather than more professional? There.
Can I launch in before Sean has an aneurysm and explodes? So I'd like to speak on behalf of Alex Wade, not as my position in any of the crew, BPC, any of the other committees I'm on, or even my day job. This is Alex Wade. I think that we shit the bed with this, honestly, and I think I've been saying this from day one. There are loopholes abound in this, because what happens if somebody doesn't get their CPD points this year? Do they do them next year? Someone says, right, you get a mulligan. So long as you do your points by January next year, you can keep on going. Now you've done your points, now you can continue. But does that mean that they don't need to get points for next year because you've already done points? So what happens there? Having your points for every 3 years. Honestly, my idea, and I'll say it again, and for people to listen to, is the safe use, or having onto the basic use of rodenticides, should have always been either a 1-year course that you had to redo, because that is what gets people into the industry. It gives you a year to get your boots on the ground. It gets you a year to get your feet under the table to understand what pest management is like in the big wide world. And then you go on to do your level 2 award, or whatever the qualifications framework calls it going forwards from that. Or if you're a farmer, it literally names a specific site. I will look after this farm and the farms around it, and that is it. You either name a site or you name a guarantor within your business or next to your business, which allows you to do that. That's how it should have been done. The safe use should have always been a very closed foot in the door, start of the industry, make sure, and then from that you take your level 2 and you keep on going, and from there that is where your CPD comes into play, and it's never a case of redoing your course every year. If you've got your level 2 award, you do CPD every year in order to show that you are safe and compliant, and there's no workaround by just redoing your safe use every single year. Done and done.
Come on, Sean.
I think crew got a thankless task, and I think they've almost got an impossible job. but I think they've made an impossible job even harder. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in the emotion of it and say this is not great, because it certainly doesn't look great. And then I think I had to do something. You know, my complaint, if I have one, my complaint is that this whole process of crew was supposed to be about bringing the industry forward and making us more professional. And if I take out all of the stuff about us getting our crew approval and blah 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 and all the skullduggery that went on with that, and I'll make no bones about it, it was absolutely a horrendous process to go through. If you take that out, the issue is that at the 11th hour they've changed the rules, and this is when you start dealing with the academics and they start going, oh no, this isn't. This was always the case. We always did this. We always did that. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing, which is fine as long as it was said from the very start. And it isn't. So they've changed the rules, and then they've created a rod for their own back, as Alex alluded to there. And I was sitting thinking about this earlier. They've now said you can do pro rata points, the BPCA and bases, and they've said we've always done pro rata points. The issue is that this is a different scheme. And we signed up, and we got told that everyone was going to be held at the same account, that wasn't the case. And then it's changed, and devil's in the detail and all that sort of shit. But here's the issue that I have with it. Now, there's two issues. The first one is, if you are engaged with the industry and in March you started collecting points and you get to 19 points, including the 3, you cannot buy professional use rodenticide next year. If you are not engaged with the industry, you've just found out now, or in middle of December, you can do 3 points, which is your 3 crew points pro rata. That'll put you over your tally, and you can buy professional use rodenticides next year. So you've got the more professional person not being allowed to buy them, but you've got the less professional person being able to buy them. And then, as Alex says, what difference does it make if you do your 3 points on the 20th of December or the 4th of January? Like, what difference does it make? So are we then going to turn around and say, do you know what it is? Actually, as long as you do your 3 points, that would be pro rata, so you're allowed to do it. And then it's like, it's just being made up as they go along. However, I absolutely get that crew have a thankless task. Like, they do have a thankless task. And the problem that you have is that there will always be a percentage of your industry who are not engaged, who don't care, who don't want things to change, who want to do the absolute minimum in order to drapes along. And the rest of the industry is being pulled down to their standards. And I hate it. I hate it with a passion. It's a real bugbear of me. So, that being said, let's be positive about it. I can't speak for the other 2 schemes. All I can say from our scheme is, you've got to get 20 points. I don't care if you join on January the 20th, you've got to get 20 points. Everyone can get them. And if you can't, we're not slowing down for you. I'm not doing it. It isn't happening. We want the best of the best of the best. And then there was obviously there was a post put on about self-certifying, and Kilgerm had sent out a declaration, and there was a bit of negativity from Mark Bell around it, and I get his point. It was basically saying, tell us that you're a member of a scheme and blah, blah, blah. So let's get it right. It was back covering from Kilgerm. But I understand that. If you're going to sell poison to someone and it could come back on you, then you have to get someone to sign to say, listen, we absolutely understand that at a later date, if I give this to Billy down the road, then we can't turn around and say, oh, we didn't know, or and try and shift the blame. You can't blame them for covering the backs, because there are people in this industry who will move at the slowest rate. So I get the criticism, but we all run a business, and how many times do you write a disclaimer to a customer saying, this isn't right. We don't recommend this, drain valves and blah, blah, blah. You're not covered for this. You're not covered for that. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they've got to do that. Like, it's annoying, but they've got to do it. There you go. That's my thoughts. Go on, Al.
No,
Well,
you
so
Al.
two things. I mean, with the BPCA registered, I think the only way you can get your pro-rata points is if you literally join the BPCA,
Not
join it
true.
in December.
Not true.
No. Because if I was not
Not
to have
true.
done my CPD, I'm a member of BPCA registered. If I have not done my 20 points in December, having been a member since January, they don't turn around and say you only have to do 3 points.
What happens if you were a member of the BPCA and you were not a member of BPCA registered? You've been a member of BPCA for 5 years, but you didn't use registered.
That's
and
what
then
I'm
all
saying.
of a sudden you do registered in the last month.
Yeah. So the assumption is that you should have been part of another association.
The assumption. What?
Okay.
Your BPCA.
Okay. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah, go on.
I'm saying if I'm a member of BPCA registered from January 1st, and I haven't got any CPD points until December, I still have to do 20 points. Now, if I join BPCA registered in December, then you do, the BPCA and BPCA register are very closely intertwined, as in 99% of people join BPCA registered when they join the BPCA because it's a long time. So we're talking about a very small percentage of people who are BPCA but basis registered, because you can't be a BPCA member without having a CPD point scheme.
But listen, the rules are the rules are the rules, and it's no good saying, there might be these people who slip through the net. The rules have to be the rules. And
you tell me not so. To be a member of the BPCA, you need to have CPD, which means that you have to be either a part of BPCA registered basis, or I believe yours as well. So you have to be, in order to have your membership, you have to be you have to have CPD. So it's not like you're going to find people who are getting their BPCA membership on January with no CPD whatsoever, because you have to show when you join that you're a member of a CPD organization. Like the day that you join, you have to show that you're a member of a CPD organization. So if you're not BPCA registered, then you'd have to by de facto have been basis. The only weirdness comes is when you swap from one to the other.
But the weirdness would come, and I'm not picking on any association at all, but the weirdness, I suppose, would come is if you were basis and you'd done 2 points for the year, and on December the 1st you turn around and say, actually, I'm going to ditch basis, I want to be registered now.
Yeah.
And then you can join pro rata. It's a small amount, I agree, and it's probably pretty petty, but then it's still the whole thing's a mess.
I'm going to take what you say as true. I don't believe it, but I'm going to take what you say as true. It still puts us in the position where one of the criticisms, the major criticisms of CPD, is that it's a cash grab. And when you make it aware, I'll tell you what happened. We were made aware that basis and BPC at exactly the same time, come out and said, we're going to do pro rata points. And this was in October. I think it was start October. So they clearly got their heads together. And we were never invited to that conversation. And people were told, if you go with Sean, you've got to do 20 points if you come with us. So, I know, and when we spoke about it the first time, you said, Al, one of the problems is that we have a large percentage of the industry who have not signed up to a scheme, and we need them on the scheme, and it's better they're on the scheme, and And I agree with all that. It becomes very difficult to defend. That's it. And I'm a CPD scheme, so I'm trying to stand up for it, because how many times have people heard me say, I love CPD, I think it's great, not for the reasons that other people do, but I love it. It's network, and it's this, it's that, it brings us together, it's a glue that sticks us together. I love it. But it becomes very difficult to defend it when someone turns out to me and says, Sean, it's a cash grab. And at the last ditch, they've turned around and said, oh, by the way, we'll do pro rata points, when we were told at the start that you would have to have your 20 points. And, I know through speaking to a number of large distributors and other people, they were really upset with it because they'd been running round for a whole year telling people you need these 20 points, and it was almost like you were gazumped. And I felt for some of my customers who had got on and got stuck in, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you don't.
Why
really
did we
do
bother?
that. You know,
So I've literally just looked it up because I think there is some miscommunication with this, and I've just looked it up on the BPCA page. The pro rata only refers to when you join as a member company, the BPCA, midway through the year. So if you are join the BPCA midway through the year, then you don't have to. So regardless of which CPD thing you're with, you only have to get the rest of the points. So if you join as a BPCA member in November, then you do the points for the rest of November, and then starting on January 1st, you're up to 20 full points again. So that's the.
so would you agree then that if there was instances where that wasn't being applied now and it's on their website, then someone's head should roll for that?
So you're saying that there are people cheating the system, a system that's largely based on the members being honest.
I think that there's a high likelihood that isn't true. I think there's a high likelihood. I would have to do a load of digging into it, and everyone keeps talking to us about it, and I keep saying, listen, not my circus, not my monkeys. Although we have a crew scheme, we don't go to the meetings. We're not on the board. We don't do anything to do with that. I don't think we're wanted there. I don't think we're welcome there. So I would have to get stuck into it. And the truth is, I don't want to, because I find it absolutely soul destroying. Like, that's the only way I can describe it, because I love this industry so much, and I want us to be the best that we can be. And I'm sick of listening to people say that we're not treated like professionals, we're not looked at like this, we're not da-da-da. And then you're like, all right, come at the hour, come at the man, stand up, you've got your opportunity, let's all go for it. And they're like, I don't really want to do that, and we are slowing down for the people who don't want to do that.
What's the MPTA doing about this? Because it's very easy to talk about BPCA at the moment because they are visible and they've had something there. But what are the MPTA members doing with this at the moment?
At the moment,
listen, yeah, they can be held to exact. They can and they can't they? Because we
don't have a scheme.
Yeah, so they rely on basis and ourselves, but then again, so do the BPCA, don't they? It's just that their members choose usually to use BPCA registered. But then three options are, so the BPCA actually members have three options available to them, whereas MPT have two. Or can MPTA members be a member of BPCA registered? I don't know.
No, BPCA registered is part of that, and the reason that we kept that, and there is a reason for that, is because briefly, when it was not, people would use their BPCA registered logo and pass it off as being BPCA members fully, and that was unfair on the BPCA members. So the BPCA registered remained in-house, just to preserve the sanctity of the membership.
In all fairness, you would think that anybody who was who wasn't a member who said, I want to use your scheme, was probably looking to book the system somewhere along the line, wouldn't you? Because you think it's just not a natural thing to sort of come up with. I don't know.
It is. Long story short, we will see what happens next year. Everyone is trying their level best in challenging situations at the moment, because it is something that we are unknown. And I still say my same thing. Yeah, you say crew has a thankless task, but they have had a long time to think of a solution in my mind, could have been a lot better thought out than this.
But the thing is, again, it's a bit like being an MP in a way, isn't it? You make a claim, we're going to stop immigration tomorrow, and absolutely everybody knows that isn't going to happen. It's going to be somewhere halfway in between.
The other thing that we're not taking account of is that we had a change at the top of crew, didn't we? The same way we did with the MPTA, and new people come in with new ideas, and that's exactly why they are. So I understand, to Nigel's credit, he hasn't been there for the last 10 years. He's been there for a very short space of time. and this is probably something that him and the board have decided to put in place. And at some point,
this was wheels rolling before Nigel took his seat categorically.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
And So, that being said, if that's the case, remember, everybody, and I'm having to go at rodenticide users here, everybody who this applies to. So you've got to have done your qualification more than 5 years ago. So you've been in the industry for at least 5 years, if it hits you. But you were literally told about this in 2024, and you're told to get ready in 2025 for the start of 2026. So when it's like, I do think they've got to thank this task, because it is that knee-jerk reaction, where it's like
40 days today.
Yeah, everybody got given plenty of notice. This wasn't
40 days today.
Yeah. If you are,
people are still asking.
They're still asking. I've just got a message in there. If you're BPCA registered, there should be a flag. If you log onto your thing, there's a flag linking you to your courses and the rest of it. So there should be no excuses for anyone who's not BPCA registered not to get the full 3 points, because you can literally log onto your portal and you'll have each of the 3 courses sat there, 1 point each. Do each one. It couldn't be any more simple just to click and go through them. Don't sit there and think it's the end of the year, I just have to do one. Fuck it, do all 3 of them. It doesn't matter, do all 3 of them. They're all there to do.
Yeah, do them. I don't know. I think everyone knows exactly what's going to happen. January is going to come, and it's going to be a total and utter nightmare. However, it's not going to be a nightmare for me. It's not going to be a nightmare for Hugh, because we've got our ducks in a row. It's going to be a nightmare for those who haven't done it, who haven't engaged. And it's going to be a nightmare for the distributors trying to organise it. That's what's going to happen. But in 6-8 months' time, when everything's been ironed out and people either have done the 1-day course, or they've done this, or they've done that, or whatever it is, then take it on the chin, innit? We'll be back to it, and it'll be the same as anything else. It'll just be something that people get used to. And I do think at some point you have to get a hold of something. You have to make a change. Let's see. But again, I say it won't be a problem for me. I probably will with a British Pest Register. But we did do something this week, which was quite interesting. We've on ours now. As soon as you've done your qualifying things, you've done your 20 points, you've done your 3, you can go to manage your certificate, and you can just hit the distributor, and it'll send it direct to them. So there's no excuse for not being able to do it, or not getting it, or what have you. It should make things a whole lot easier for everybody involved, I hope.
I've done it. I did it
Please
yesterday.
Tell us it worked. Please tell us it worked.
Yeah, it worked. I hit the 3 buttons. I hit the 3 buttons of the particular suppliers that I use. Click, click, click. Got an email back from one EMV by 12 o'clock saying, thank you for sending your certificate through. Everything's tickety-boo. Buy some gear off of us. No, it didn't say that. But no, it worked. It was cool. Yeah, it worked well. It was a good touch, actually. Still got to do my certificate, which I understand. Still got to do my declaration for Killgerm, because don't forget, that's just to buy, but you've now got to declare to your supplier, well, the only one so far is Killgerm, that anybody that you then issue it to is certified as well. So it's not just purchasing, it's using.
This was brought up, and actually, if you speak to Debbie Wilson, who we had on, she's just the same with this, and she's brought this up several times, which is when stewardship first came around, we all did do a declaration for all of the different distributors. We did those, but the thing is we haven't updated them, and people have lost members of staff, people have gained members of staff, and yet you haven't provided with the person who purchases, Hugh, myself, you, Sean. They look in the system, we're the person purchasing it. Great. You buy it, it sends in. As far as 1MV, Killgerm, Pelsis, Rat Pack are concerned, they're sending it to someone who is sorted. But, yeah, I think it's well overdue that these declarations are updated. And if you ask me, these declarations should be updated at least annually. There, where you basically say, yeah, the people in my company are the same, or I've taken this person on, or I've let this person go, and you keep it up to date. Just
I'm
so
surprised you don't send in all your workers' certificates along with just the people that are buying. You don't
but you
send
don't,
in
do you?
all. I mean, it'd be a lot of certificates going to and fro, but
I know when I had Ellen at she did her level 2, and she had a level 2, but because she was never doing any of the purchasing, I never let any of my distributors knew that I had an extra one. It didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I just knew that she was
I tell you-
qualified.
I tell you the one thing I would say for anybody who is going to go down the crew 20, including 3, and I think there will be a big step back for those who don't. If you are doing any sort of farm contract, if you're doing anything that is auditable now, and they turn around and say to you, where is your
form,
crew
your cert.
certificate? And you turn around and say, oh, no, I've done the basic use of rodenticide. I think auditors are clever enough to realise what type of company you are. I really do. And I think they'll be looking at thinking, you know what auditors are like? They love a tick in the box, don't they? And when they don't get that tick in the box because you're not a member and they've been on 10 forms and it's like tick, 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 tick. Where's yours? Oh, I don't do it because I just do a course every 5 years. They'll be like, oh, I'm probably going to have to look at this. And I think it'll show through when you quote, when you tender for stuff, you know, that we are
It
and we have
definitely
done
will
this.
show there. That's
Yeah,
the,
I think it'll help. I think it'll help get rid of some of the.
Well, you always stick those,
Yeah.
you see on every, not every website, but most websites, you see all those accreditations at the bottom, don't you?
Yeah.
So why aren't we putting those on our paperwork? British Pest Register.
We do.
We do, but for
Yeah, we do.
everybody else. But what you're going to do if you've done a ticket 5 years ago, your Lantra course. I'm not knocking Lantra, but you can't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Yeah.
have we killed
You what?
CPD?
Yeah.
no, we haven't killed
It is what it
CPD.
is.
We've
No, have we rolled it around in the mud enough and cleaned it off and washed it down and stood it back up again? So
fuck it. Long
Now
story
let's
short,
ask.
take home from this: do your CPD. There's no reason not
Yeah.
to do your CPD. If you don't do your CPD, you're just cheating yourself at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
that's the long and the short of it. The only person you are cheating at the end of this is yourself.
but that's again, there we go. Not so much for people that mainly do house calls, but then shout it from the rooftops.
I get that. But even if you're only doing house calls, you are going to get calls from even a little takeaway who's going to get the EHO in every 12 months, a little farm contract that's getting red tractor in, or this or that. If you can say, listen, all I do is domestic, but them opportunities still present themselves, don't they?
Right. Do you want to know something? When we talk about house, one of my friends, their parents recently called in a pest controller, and I was like, "Oh, this is a perfect opportunity to ask them this very simple question: how the hell did you choose which pest controller to go with?" And they were like, "Oh, I don't know anything about pest control, but I went for the ones that looked as though they had the most accreditations and affiliations to professional like bodies and memberships. So I looked for the ones that had, that was like, and okay, they didn't necessarily know the difference between the BPC and the MPTA, but they picked one that had those over the other ones. Those that actually said, I'm qualified to, this level, got picked over, people that are qualified to a less level, because that's the one they're looking for, because they wanted what's the word I'm looking for? They wanted to know that the person that they were dealing with was professional and wasn't going, because they'd been stitched up by a plumber literally a couple of months back who'd done a really bad, roofer, who'd done a really bad job on their roof, who was just have a go here. And the next one, they actually made sure that they were a member of the, whatever it is, Roofers Guild, and he was a lot better. So yeah, it does matter to people who are homeowners when they're making a decision on the internet, because how do you tell the difference at the end of the day? That's how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really expecting the pair of you to clap back at me for some reason. Then
I agree with you.
I can't agree. Yeah.
We're both in that boat, and we're both big proponents of it, and I almost feel like I should be the one who takes the common man's side on this. That sort of that one-man band thing, but the truth is, I just don't feel like that. I feel like, because even the one-man band, the people who complain most about amateur use rodenticide, the one-man bands, the ones who should be supporting this, fucking the big boys don't care.
I don't agree with that.
One iota. And then the one-man bands who complain about amateur use are like, I'm going to do a 5-year course because I can't be bothered, and I just find it frustrating.
Brian O'Donnell said 99% of customers won't give a hoot about CPD. They just look for cheap. Look at tenders. It's not even mentioned once. I'd disagree with that. As someone who's looked at a lot of tenders, a lot of the time tenders will specify very specifically what you need in order to get to, minimum level of, health and safety requirements, of food standard requirements, of X, Y, and Z, professional affiliations. Now, I'd say with tenders, it's mentioned a lot, maybe not specifically CPD, but membership to a professional body, which by definition requires your CPD. Anyway, do you want to do AWAB's law, Sean, before you throw yourself off a small cliff?
To be fair, I don't know. I think CPD until February now should be like Asian Hornets was last summer. We've done it, we've spoke about it. Let's put it to bed, forget about it. It's going to run its course.
Yeah.
And it's
going to
be
what it's going to be.
Rather than constructive, and let's just see what happens.
I agree. I agree. Right, that's it, done. Come on. AWAB's law.
AWAB's law. Right, do you want me to give you a little bit of an introduction to what AWAB's law is, just before we talk about AWAB's law? Oh, do you have it? All right. I've got it too.
I don't want it. Whoever.
BPC vs MPTA, go!
Go. We'll do a line each. Okay. Hugh, go. And then I'll go.
AWAB's law came into force under the Social Housing Regulation Act 2023 after a tragic death of a young chap called Awab Ishaq. It places legal limits on landlords, social housing providers to investigate and fix hazards that affect health. At the present stage, do you want to do that bit?
I was about to say, literally. There we go. So at the present stage, emergency hazards, which at the moment are things like significant damp and mold in phase 1, and emergency hazards, which are things that constitute a serious and imminent risk to health and safety, must be made safe within 24 hours, and things like significant damp and mold hazards must be investigated within 10 working days, writing written findings within 3 days, and then remedial works need to be started within 5 days and finished soon after that. So it's a really big push to get these things, and it's, again, as Hugh says, all around the death of this child. Over to Hugh for the phased expansions.
It says, while AWAB's law was written around damp and mold, the legal principles extend in any category 1 or significant category 2 hazard under the HHSRS, including rodent infestation, cockroaches, bed bugs, persistent insect infestations with risk to health, contamination from droppings and urine, structural entry points, and if pest infestation creates a significant health risk. So AWAB's law effectively forces houses providers to respond, goes on forever. So basically it forces them to respond quickly. That part is phase 1, but it's being said that in phase 2, which is October next year, it will specifically mention pest issues.
So phase 1 2025 is emergency, as you say, cat 1, cat 2 hazards, which are those. Phase 2, which is in 2026, other hazards such as an excess of cold or heat, fire, electrical risks, and potential long-term structural collapses and pests within that group will be 2026. And then phase 3, which is 2027, is all remaining health and housing health and safety rating systems, so HSSRS. with the exception of overcrowding, for some reason I've got on my notes here. But landlords must shift. The big thing is it's pushing landlords to shift from reactive maintenance to evidence-led compliance. So it stops them having to wait until there is a problem, because if you have to wait till there's a problem, then you are definitely going to have to sort of like act quickly and expensively. So it behooves pest controllers to actually get landlords to get things done in a timely manner before they become a category whatever health and safety risk. So there we go.
The big issue will be that they have to relocate the people if they cannot source it within the time frames.
That's not new though. Do you remember we had Julie on years, literally one of our first guests, maybe our third guest, and she was saying that a lot of the and that was the Fit for Habitation bill, which probably I have no doubt factored into this bit of legislation, which is if the premises is not fit for habitation for whatever reason, then it's down to the lawyers can prove that the landlord has not taken sufficient measures to make that place habitable. They can get, 80% of their rent reimbursed from the first moment of bringing this complaint up.
That's not so bad though, is it? You can get your rent back, you're still in the property, but when these social housing places are going to have to think that they're going to have to rehouse them somewhere,
and you'll get your rent back.
And you get your rent back. Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, you can't house enough people as it is. Where are we going to put them?
I've heard military bases are hot topics at the moment.
Could send them somewhere warm and sunny.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
So, no.
So anyway.
There'll be somewhere, I've no doubt. But yeah, that's anyways. And okay, we're talking about this now because this is going to be important for us, because it gives us, as the pest industry, if we know about this beforehand, we can start to have conversations with these various people and say, like, look, let's be proactive about this. You need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to get qualified advice from, so you don't end up being the wrong side of this. You don't have to turf all of your tenants out, pay for their rent, pay for the rent for them to be somewhere else while you get rid of a population of rats. What we need to do now is, this is what we can do to, show that you've taken all reasonable steps and precautions to avoid this becoming an issue. So this is a real opportunity for us, not to sort of like piggyback off the back of misery here, but this is an opportunity for us to show our professionalism and to get, because part of this is they need to make sure that there is an element of proactive. And actually, I got a message from Scott about this, saying with ALAB's law, the BPCA has written guidance, which is again free to everybody to look at. It's not behind a paywall.
Is that just on the portal, and you can only see it if you remember?
What do you say?
Is that on the portal that you can only access if you remember?
No. That's it's the guidance is freely available to everyone. However, on the portal, which you have to be a member, there is a checklist templates for members, so they can stay ahead of the game. So there is guidance documents that is freely available to everyone on the BPCA, or will be freely available to everyone on the BPCA. But if you're a member, there will be additional goodies for you within there as well.
Can I just chime in there as well?
Go for it.
Any MPTA member, we're doing the same thing at the present time. Okay. It'll be all there for everybody. So
MPTA versus BPCA, go! Yeah.
Well, I felt like I had to sort of dig that in there because been working on that. So
okay, but they're both doing it. So if you're the big thing that with this is, if you're a member of a trade association, there is an extra little bit in there for you. If you're not a member of the trade association, you can get the guidance, but you're not going to get the goodies.
Go on, Sean. I could see you were smiling, so you've got something in that little brain of yours.
Imagine you're one of the big players, right? The big players. And you've got 4 or 5 housing associations that are covering 500,000 fucking houses, 100,000 houses each, or 250,000 houses. And you've signed them up that they'll get a 10-day response, right, on rats or whatever it is. And what they'll do is they'll get all the jobs and they'll book them in, and they'll have a technician in an area who runs around the area, that does that. All of a sudden, they say, listen, I saw the rat in your kitchen, you've got to be there within 24 hours. Like,
On a Friday
is
afternoon.
that is going to, yeah, a total minefield for them, isn't it? So you're sitting there and all them types of tenders, the stack them I sell them cheap, aren't they? To make money at it, you've got lads who are doing like 12, 13 visits a day or whatever it is, something stupid, 11, 12 visits in order to make it profitable. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, we can't stack you in that area because there's one come in and you've got to go from here to there and we're going to add 3-4 hours worth of driving onto your day. That is I don't even know how. Will they just cancel their tenders off the back of this, and will it go back out to tender? Is it going to open up work opportunities for the one-man bands where it's like, listen, we're going to keep them on, but first visit, we're going to give you a shout out and you can go out and just do something or diagnose it? Like, how is this going to work on a
problem with that is for the one-man band is that they're going to tie you in. If you want to be one of their suppliers, they're going to say, are you on standby 365 days a year?
Yeah.
We'd like you to sign this legal contract that if you don't go out, you're going to be responsible and we're going to sue the pants off of you.
Yeah.
It's a big...
it's
don't
a
know.
risk.
Don't know how it's all going to play out, to be honest. It's again, I think you've got 10, you get to a problem, you've got a very awkward rat problem, you've got a drain issue, and you've got so many days to sort it out. It's going to, I've got all the details, but certainly going to open up some questions for people. It's not going to be that easy.
It's not going to be that easy. But again, it shows that we've spoken previously and what can you offer? You are not there as a micro business or an SME or even sort of like a small national. You're not there just to pick up the crumbs of the big boys, because there are things that you definitely can do that the larger company can't. As we've just said here, they're not as agile. They can't turn around on a dime. They're very good at structured routine maintenance work, but on things that are much more reactive and dynamic, it's not as easy for them. Whereas if you're a small person beholden only to yourself, you can be a lot more reactive. You can get round there in a couple of hours.
But you might never go on holiday again.
But you might never go on holiday again.
You know what it is? You're forgetting something. You're forgetting that it's not just the first call. It's the second call has to be done within the 5 days. So you think, all right, I've got to squeeze these in, but I don't know, say in that week you've got to do 30-second calls, and then all of a sudden work starts coming in. It's like, oh, there's another 5 first calls. There's only so many hours in the day. Like, what we going to do? How are we going to deal with it? It's going to be. I'm sure it won't bother us, I don't think. But I'm sure for some of the big boys, this is going to create a headache, and I'm sure there will be tenders that are cancelled early to go out for retender because they can't offer the service that they need, or it's a different specification or whatever it is. It'll be interesting to see.
Do you think that it will be opening the because this is only social housing and councils at the moment, isn't it? Surely there's going to be a push for that to apply to private landlords at some stage.
Undoubtedly. I mean, well, I say undoubtedly. If I was to put money on it, then yes, because it'll all get just the pressure it's been putting on private landlords. It would be unreasonable for them to be able to dodge that particular bullet with that. It's just easier to enforce on social housing.
Well, I think Julie said, wasn't it, before that they're not going to go over, the compensation companies aren't going to go after the private lets because they know they haven't got the money to pay the compensation. But, a council has got 20 million in the bank ready to be snaffled.
Snaffled up on spurious charges.
Anyway, any more comments on that?
Davy Brown there. Ask Davy. I was speaking about this some time ago. He said, you know, for those who, I can remember Davey saying to me, for those who can negotiate this properly, there's going to be a massive opportunity for it. We're just going to have to negotiate it properly. But I don't think you can almost put in or I can't put in a plan for it. I think you're just going to have to roll with the punches, because I don't think anybody knows at the moment, do they, what they're doing?
No, we're going to have to. We'll see how, going to see how this rolls out, how this sort of plays out. But long story short, forewarned is forearmed, and we will have an opportunity to show our our diligence, and if you think about this, you can be proactive. If the government is pushing social housing to stop being reactive, then we have a real opportunity to show these people how to be proactive, and make a living at the same time.
And with anything in our news bulletins, we're not telling people how to do it. We're just advising them that this is what's coming up, and this is coming down the tracks at you. So,
thanks, you. That's usually my job.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought, legal stuff. Somebody said, well,
the one thing I would say to anybody who is contacted by a housing association, the one thing you're going to have to do is absolutely understand what they require of you, because they are absolute pigs for ringing someone up and going, could you look at a rat job for us? And you go, yeah. And then they agree a price. And then all of a sudden they go, can we have this? Can we have that? Can we have this? And they want you to sit in the office for half a day doing paperwork for them to justify the 150 quid you're going to get off them. And they don't care that it's going to cost you. So if they get in touch with you now, you are absolutely... Do you know what I mean? Oh, well, you said it was 200 quid for a rat job. Yeah. Well, actually, we're blah, 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 AWAB's law, we need you to block this hole and You're going to have to be absolutely aware of what their needs and requirements are, so that you can price these jobs correctly, because they have would you agree, Hugh? I think they know exactly what they're doing when they ask you to do work and agree a price and then give you the specifications. Because I felt that a few times when I first started. Do you agree or not?
Some do. And it's worth talking to them and getting it. You stitch them up as much as they stitch you up. You've got to be careful. You've got to think about it. You've got to think about reaction times. You've got to think about, are you going to have to start putting somebody on standby for this type of work? Does that mean somebody's going to have to be on standby Christmas Day? Look at the clauses that are in there. Look at what the financial implications of getting something wrong might be. You could in theory lose your business over it. It might look
this as well. I guarantee you now, 100%, the tenants will learn exactly what to say to get the response that they want in the timescale that they want.
Yeah,
they all talk. I remember as a farrier, I was sitting on a yard and was sitting there saying, oh, well, if you say this, this, and this, you'll get this money, that money, this money. They know exactly what to say in order to get so that they can hold the
Did you see the rat in the kitchen? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've rang up because I've heard rats in my loft. Tell me sort in the kitchen when you come down in the morning, everything changes. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, I've got 10 days and it's booked in. And then it's like, oh, no, I've got to go now. And you're like, oh, bloody hell. Like they'll learn quickly, very quickly, what to say and how to say it to get what they want out of you.
And on that note,
I was about to say, Jesus wept.
Call us cynical, eh?
Yeah. Oh. Do you agree with us, Hugh?
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do quite a lot of work like that at the moment, and man, oh man, they'll phone it in. We got a rat running around. You'll text them, you'll phone them, you don't get an answer. You get an answer a week later. Yeah, you can come Saturday. Oh, I'm not in Saturday. You get a phone call 2 hours before you're about to go. Oh no, I'm not feeling too well today. So beware. Yeah. All fun and games though.
Yeah. Cometh the hour, cometh the man, innit?
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long story short, if you need help navigating this minefield, reach out to your local pest consultancy. They will be able to help navigate it through it. And if they can't help, then turn to your trade associations. And if they don't help, please don't ask us. We don't know what we're talking about.
We haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
No,
Make shit
not
up.
us.
Don't listen. For anyone, I promise I say this all the time. Don't listen to me. You know, by all means, if Alex and you, feel free. Don't listen to me. Don't do what I say. Do the total opposite. Like, I'm more than comfortable with that. Like, please
don't
do
know
not.
shit, but don't know shit, but we can kill shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we've got to kill him,
That
Right.
should not be our tagline. That's not the last thing we're saying tonight. Sorry.
No. Why not?
Oh, well.
Okay, thanks everybody for watching.
It's all right. Who have we got on next week?
It's a surprise.
Surprise to us all.
Yeah, it is. It will be. Right. Night, everybody.
God bless.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast.